It's Madison Kate on The Trend, and I'm here with my good friend Tara, and I'm gonna have her introduce herself, but she's my therapist, and I just want to start off by saying thank you for helping me always. And
it's my honor.
She has gotten me through so much, so I definitely wanted to bring a lot of awareness to like mental health and why there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Tara Lemasters, and I am a practicing psychotherapist, and I have an office here in Ohio in the Pepper Pike area. And due to COVID, I have clients, all over that I help and support. And I have, some advanced degrees, one from Case Western Reserve University here in Cleveland, the other from John Carroll. And I have a lot of experience and training beyond my degrees from experts in the field. And I specialize in relationship issues, anxiety, depression, sex addiction, sexuality, all those things. I see individuals and couples. And then I also coach individuals and families that are involved in family-owned businesses.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So
I want to really touch on having anxiety and why it's totally okay to go talk to somebody. I think like everybody should. I feel like there's no like bad part. You know what I mean?
Right,
like it's all so beneficial to you and like figuring out yourself and just, so much more. I don't know what I would do like without her in certain times, figuring out like how to deal with anxiety in healthy ways. And I guess sometimes you can never really get rid of it, but I like sure as hell don't have it nearly as bad, after a lot of stuff that we've talked about. So I just really want people to like not be ashamed of having it. There's literally nothing wrong with being depressed or having anxiety, and I think a lot of people have no control because so much of it comes from your past, which I think like people are ashamed of sometimes.
Sure.
And it's just like hard to talk about, but like I'm just here to make it, more aware.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's, awesome that you're raising awareness.
Yeah.
For people, and it's what I call, destigmatizing it.
Yeah.
And not feeling like shame. When we feel shame, it tends to make us withdrawn.
Right.
And not seeking help. And, and we can get up in our own heads, right?
Oh, for sure.
And feel like, oh, I'm the only person going through this.
Right.
And anxiety is a brain chemistry thing. There's a component of that.
Yeah.
And it can also be situational.
Right.
Like anyone that is really aware with COVID and everything that's been going on for the past 9 months or so, is that we've all had levels of anxiety, is what I say.
Oh, for sure.
And anxiety is future oriented.
Oh, yeah.
It's as if you're driving down the highway, right? And you're looking out of your windshield, and it's geared towards the future.
Right.
What's going to happen if
my like biggest flaw in life.
Yeah.
So that's all super personal to me, because I would be like, okay, I would like come talk to her and I'd be like, but what if this happens? And she's like, okay, but it didn't. And I am an overthinker, so I will sit there and it's almost like a spiral,
Yeah, and the spiral, it can be really scary, right?
Oh, yeah.
And when your thoughts start to spiral out of control. But one of the things that you and I talked about a lot, and you had shared with me in the past that helped you, was to realize that you are not what you think about.
Yeah.
That we have much more control over what we think about than we realize.
Yeah.
Once we begin to realize it, right?
Right, like being aware that you're like saying like I'm overthinking right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you can create the pause.
Right.
And some of the ways that you can help create the pause are through, responding instead of reacting.
Right.
Like one of the things that you and I talked about that you worked on a lot was to journal, just to write things down.
Right.
Kind of get it out of your head. And there's something therapeutic about physically writing it down.
Oh, for sure.
And also to be mindful.
Yeah.
And to be mindful is to be in the present.
And another thing, like I remember this from our first session, but if you're like having an issue, it could be with like anybody, like family members, any type of relationships, whatever it is. Like you always said, like, did you ever write a letter? And not meaning send it to them, but like getting it down.
Right. So getting your thoughts and feelings down in some place that's safe. It's as if, you know, the page in the journal, the piece of paper, or some people, you know, they want to do it on the computer, which is fine, whatever, type it out. But I really encourage clients to physically write it down.
Right.
And there's something about doing that that creates an opportunity to get those feelings out in a safe way. You might not ever send the letter. You could burn it, you could shred it.
Right.
But there's something cleansing about getting that out.
Like just off your chest, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like a big thing too with me, Look, I always want to work on communication, but I'm not, like, I know I'm not very good at it still. Like, I'm nervous to say stuff, or like, I'll be like, I know what I want to say, but I just like don't want to bring it up, you know? So a big thing for me, it's like, it's hard because now, like, I guess like during this time where like cell phones are huge.
Sure.
I'm easier to talk to over text messaging, but like, that's not really healthy, you know? But I can like write down how I feel so much better than, like if I sit down and talk to somebody, like it's really hard for me to say because I'm like, I feel stupid, or like that sounds dumb, but it's not, you know?
Yeah, and what I hear in that, and all of us as human beings can kind of fall into this pattern of a lot of self-judgment.
Yeah.
You know, so if we give ourselves some grace to express what we're feeling and then are able to maybe reflect on that and then communicate that.
Yeah.
You know.
Probably write it down and then be like, okay, I'm gonna go sit down with this now, you know?
Yeah. And kind of sit with it.
Right.
That's the thing about texting. Texting's great.
Yeah.
But also texting can be impulsive, right?
Oh yeah, the reacting.
Right. So there can be a lot of reactivity.
Right.
So when you have a lot of anxiety, if you can create the space to pause and then respond.
Right, like
instead of
don't
react.
just be like, oh my God, they did this, and like freak out, because I used to do that a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that can help reduce your anxiety, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes in those situations, like I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna put down my phone and just like walk away. Like, is that really smart? And I have like a rebound rate of like 5 seconds. So I'm like so mad, and then I'm like, oh, okay, was that really necessary? You know what I mean? So I think that's something I've worked on a lot.
Sure.
But I had that issue, like kind of with the overthinking, like it's a spiral a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a spiral, and then it's how can I stop myself from spiraling?
Right.
You know? And then the respond thing, you know, is it necessary? Is it kind?
Right.
Is it respectful?
Right.
Is this an expression of how I truly feel?
Right.
Rather than
just being so worked up.
So worked up and just hurry up and just spew something out there that I might regret later.
Right.
So all that can contribute to anxiety.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like it's scary too to like go and say stuff that you don't mean just because you're upset. Then like that, you can't take that back. Right. So that's when you need to like stop and be like, okay, what am I actually saying, or how do I actually feel? And like, we talked a lot about too how like feeling a certain way, like I'm wired a certain way. That took me so long to kind of like be like, it's okay that I feel like that. Because if that bugs me, like that bugs me. I can't help that, you know?
To have some self-acceptance, right?
Yeah.
Rather than judging yourself.
Right.
Or staying all up in your head, like, why do I feel this way? There must be something wrong. There must be something wrong with me.
Like, am I crazy? Or,
Yeah.
So I feel like, don't call yourself crazy. You know, it's okay.
And reaching out and getting help, you know, there's no shame in that for sure.
Right.
And the stigma attached to it is much less than it was, you know, in the past.
Yeah, I think it's so much more popular now. Like, I'm not embarrassed to say it to anybody. Like, I think everybody, I say, like, you should, even if it's not, like, a big deal. It doesn't need to be, like, this life-ending situation. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it could be a small thing or work or anything. Like,
and it can be, you know, a way of taking care of yourself and getting some perspective from somebody that is objective.
Right.
And helps you to process and reflect your feelings, your emotions, a situation, those kinds of things. I mean, think about it. If you have a car, you take your car in for a tune-up.
Right.
So it's kind of similar in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
I also feel like with taking care of yourself, like I'm wired different way than my friends, my coworkers, my parents, and I think my parents are like so accepting of me going and stuff, and
that's wonderful.
They think it's like great, but I don't think like everybody's like that. And I think my mom would even say like, oh, if you have to do that, that's fine, but like I don't have that, so I don't get it, Like I don't think she really has anxiety or anything like that.
Right.
But like that didn't stop me from being like, I need to take care of myself and like do what's best for me. I think like a lot of people don't, because maybe it's not something everybody in their family does, because I'm kind of the only one that goes, I feel like, in mine,
And there can be fear attached to it. you know, because until we experience something, there can be fear around it.
Right.
But it's really about, finding a professional that you connect with.
Yeah.
And someone to support you.
Right.
And, therapy is also an intimate experience.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that any time as human beings, when we are sharing our inner world and our inner thoughts with another person, that is an intimate experience.
Right.
It's a professional experience with boundaries, but it's intimate because we're sharing ourselves.
Right. A lot of things people don't share with anybody else either. So
right.
I think it's so like, I guess like you said, intimate.
Yeah.
And like you're vulnerable.
Right.
So I think that's a lot of people get nervous.
Yeah. And in vulnerability, there's strength.
Yeah.
Because if we're taking a risk to be truly known and share ourselves, that takes courage and that takes strength to do that.
Right. So whoever thinks that having any type of mental health issue makes you weak or anything, it absolutely does not. And I think doing stuff to like make you the best person you are, and I guess just taking action, like that makes you all the more stronger, just taking that first step,
Exactly.
And I feel like in the times that I've done it, I've seen you for how long now? Probably like 2 years.
A little more, yeah.
Yeah.
About 2 years.
But I feel like I've came such a long way since then.
Absolutely.
Like it's crazy when I think about it,
Yeah. What's some of the ways that you've experienced like your own growth when you reflect back on that?
I feel like probably like 2 years ago, I just had like anxiety that like it was crazy to me, because I didn't want to like go do stuff because of it, I think I started off with like the overthinking that really like got me. So it was like I lived in the future 24/7. And I remember you told me that one quote. Do you remember what it is? It's from like a famous author or something like that, and he was like 90% of the time you worry about something and it doesn't happen.
Right. 90% of what we worry about either doesn't happen or doesn't happen in the way that we imagine that it happens.
Yeah.
The things that really change our lives happen in a second, in a moment, in a minute, in an instant.
Yeah. And you don't see that coming, so there is no worry to it. Like it just happens, and that's life. Yeah.
Because our lives are lived in the present.
Right. And I like could not do that for the longest time. Just like, so I would even say like, and on top of all this, like, what am I going to do in this many years? Or like, what if I don't like my job? Or what if I don't like this? Like,
and you're what am I going to be doing in 10 years?
Yeah. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Are you sure you should worry about that? So I think now I'm very like, okay, what's going to make me happy like right now? Or like, what's going to make me happy today? And I think like a lot of
and how you can ground yourself in the present, right?
Oh yeah.
That's
like,
one of the big differences.
I think I like take a step back and I literally say like, is this really like that bad right now? Like you're blowing, like you're just get upset and like, you kind of, that's when I would like react.
Right.
Now I feel like I don't do that, because I like really think about something like, and then if it is something that like bugs me so bad, obviously I'm going to keep on thinking about it. Then like you speak up for yourself, and you shouldn't be ashamed to do that either.
Exactly.
Because like there's certain things that probably don't bug other people that might bug me, but that's just me, you know?
Well, yeah, and it's all relative to who you are as a human being and what your experience is.
Right. And I know we talked a lot too about, I mean, it could be little or big, but like triggers. Everybody has different ones, and I think that's came from your past a lot too. So
Triggers can come from past experiences.
Yeah.
Things that happen in your family growing up. They can happen due to situations that you go through in your life.
Right.
You know, all those kinds of things.
Right. And they affect everybody so differently. So I kind of think like if there is certain things that like I notice it bugs me every time. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm like I guess I'm just like more aware of that. And like, I think this year I've like chose just to be like, what makes me like independently happy? You know, that was like my biggest like learning lesson.
Right.
So like, it's gonna be like, it's just you your whole life, you know?
Right.
You're never
We have
guaranteed.
the longest relationships with ourselves. Right.
So like, what makes me happy? And that's why I kind of explained that actually when I did the video with my bosses. But I'm like, I literally like took a new job and
It's so exciting.
started a brand.
Yeah,
But I was like,
so
I've always wanted to do that stuff. So like, why not? You know?
So having more of a perspective on the anxiety and being able to be present, then you're able to attract the opportunities into your world. That's what I've noticed with you.
Oh, for sure.
And the opportunities are there, and sometimes we just have to get out of our own way to see them. Right?
I know. I'm always, I'm right in my way more than anyone. So I feel
but
like
you're
that.
doing great.
Yeah. So we've came a long way.
Absolutely. It's my honor to help you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
She's the best. So anybody that needs help or anything should definitely reach out to her because I would never go to anybody else.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor.
Okay, so I just want to thank you again for coming.
No, my honor.
Making this a little bit more aware, even though it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
And also, if you have any recommendations on resources people can take that watch this video and are interested on maybe taking a step in that direction.
Sure. So in a general way, what I would recommend for those watching is that, to recap, is there's no stigma, no shame in reaching out and getting help, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And some of the avenues to explore is one, if you have insurance, if you have health insurance, you could see what providers are on your plan for mental health services. A second avenue could be Googling mental health providers in your area.
Yeah.
And you could Google by the area in which you live in, by the issue that you need and want support with. That would be one way. Another way could be asking friends, family, if you feel safe, and you know that they might utilize someone for help who they use and who they go to for help. And the other platform is you could look on Psychology Today for providers in your area and providers based on the issues that you're facing.
Yeah.
And also there are some platforms where there are apps where you can access help, more in real time. So due to the COVID pandemic and the things that we talked about, is that there's more ways to get help and support today than ever before. So I encourage people to reach out and get the help that they need.
Right. So everybody, go make yourself happy. And thank you for coming.
Thanks, Maddie.
Everybody just, you gotta do what you can, right?
Yeah.
Make yourself happy.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.